Today, we've got back on the show for a record-setting 6th episode, the beard guy, Norm, for a talk on a wide variety of subjects, including ways to save thousands of dollars on logistics, unique AI tools, and even being an Amazon influencer. How cool is that? Pretty cool, I think. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Serious Sellers Podcast by Helium 10. I am your host, Bradley Sutton, and this is the show that's a completely BS-free, unscripted, and unrehearsed organic conversation about serious strategy for serious sellers of any level in the e-commerce world. And I'm not sure if this is a record, but Norm is back here for the 5th time. I think maybe only 1 or 2 people we've had 5 times because, you know, we have guests on once per year. And the show's only been around for 5 years. So, you know, by definition, it's not like somebody could have been here on here 10 times. But I was looking at my notes from Mel, and actually, there was one time where we had such a long episode that I split it into 2. So actually, this is kind of like your 6th episode. Now, that I know for sure is a record because I don't think I've given anybody else 2 episodes. So you are officially the guest with the most appearances all time on the Serious Sellers Podcast.
Wow. Now, that is an honor.
There we go. And also, I see, speaking of honors, you got the $1 billion Dream 100
right there.
Flat plaque. I got one of those.
Yep.
I pulled on. I don't think we can wear these. People don't understand how heavy this is. This thing weighs like 10 pounds. If I would put this on my neck during this episode, that's not going to.
I had, we all had to do it, but try to bring that back in a suitcase. You know, it almost makes you can't get on because it's too heavy.
All right. So guys, if anybody wants more of Norm's backstory, we're not going to, he's got an interesting one. Write down some of these episodes. I've got it here. 80, 211, 327. And then that 2-parter I mentioned is 460 and 461. We have talked over the years about such a wide variety of topics that probably I don't talk about with anybody else, from Amazon post to press release, Google My Business, your business profile we've talked about. Last time we went a little bit deeper into the Google business profile. We talked about Amazon Live and how you're becoming an influencer. So first of all, let's just catch up with some of the other stuff. Like, what has been your focus like of the last year? Like, you still doing the Amazon influencer thing? Are you doing, I know you've dabbled in sourcing. You've been an expert in all these things that we've been talking about, press releases. What would you say has been your main top 2 or 3 things of the last year or so?
Well, the big thing is the new warehouse. So Afolabi Oyerokun and I have a company called Honu Worldwide, and we went from a 1,200 pallet capacity to a 10,000 pallet capacity, and like just all incredible modern equipment. It's quite something, and we're stacking pallets 70 feet high. Yeah, wow. It's something else. Plus, we've got into more of the kitting. Like we've always done fulfillment and pick, pack, ship, but just getting into returns now. But something we've never done in the past was get into doing some bottling and helping private labels. So we've got 72 custom premium formulas that we have and that we're bottling for people, white label. And we're not
in Canada or USA?
Both in Canada and the USA. So it's both of the suppliers that we're using, one in Canada, one USA. And they're shipping everything over to our Pennsylvania facility. So that's something brand spanking new. And
I didn't realize I've had Afolabi on the podcast. I didn't realize you were partnered up. With him.
Yeah.
We had him on. Yeah, that's awesome.
He's awesome.
I've got a warehouse myself, and I'm doing a little bit for other people. My capacity is a whopping maybe 50 pallets because I've only got about 2,000 square feet here, and I'm pretty much at capacity because I'm doing a lot of TikTok shop for people and things like that. So it's kind of just hard for me to fathom 10,000 pallet capacity there. So is it mostly for e-commerce sellers or
it's all e-commerce sellers?
Are you like where people receive the Amazon shipments from China, and then you're dripping them into Amazon? Or are you also doing fulfillment for like people Shopify?
Right, exactly. So we've got we've got the capacity, and this is what we highly recommend: is if you're an Amazon seller, don't just ship it to Amazon. Make sure that you have a fallback, and you have that 3PL just in case something gets lost. Or there's a reason why, and there's a system that we try to. It's a perpetual. We call it a perpetual, like the life cycle of your ordering. And if you think of your supply chain, a lot of it gets caught up when you have to reorder. So we do something a little different. And you can do this, you don't have to do it. But we try to bring in an order. We send over, let's say 50% over to Amazon, keep 50% in the facility. They both have triggers. So once it gets down to a certain inventory, it'll trigger us to send over product over to Amazon. But what we do prior to that is we work with your supplier and we'll cut the terms, or you can do it yourself. You try to get better terms. And by doing this, we've been able to do this with a lot of suppliers over in China, where you take your order, you pay 10%, you put it into their warehouse for free. And then what you let's say it's 1,000 units. You got 500 in 3PL, 500 over in Amazon. Once it gets down to 250, then the order it kicks in. So 3PL ships to Amazon, order goes over, the manufacturer automatically has it done, sends it over to you, they put it back into production, and you've got your next order ready to go. And hopefully you're paying in 30, 60, and 90 days. So it's perpetual. If you need to fly it over, you can, but the lead time is gone. Like it's minimal.
How can you get more buyers to leave you Amazon product reviews? By following up with them in a way that's compliant with Amazon terms of service. You can use Helium 10 follow-up in order to automatically send out Amazon's request a review emails to any customers you want. Not just that, but you can specify when they get the message and even filter out people that you don't want to get that message, such as people who have asked for refunds or maybe ones that you gave discounts to. For more information, visit h10.me/follow-up. You can sign up for a free account, or you can sign up for a platinum plan and get 10% off for life by using the discount code SSP10.
Let's dive a little bit more into, I didn't realize we would be talking about this,
but
logistics and three. Yeah, hey, we never, I never, that's why I say this is no BS. Like, I have no idea what we're going to talk about. We just, whatever comes out, and let's double click on it. But I think it's a very relevant topic. Now, I'm not sure when this podcast is going to go live, but when we're recording this, one of the news stories that's been going around is about how Amazon's like AWD and some, DCs are have no capacity on the West Coast. And so I think just throughout, even before then, on the different months, people are wondering like, hey, because of these new inbound inventory placement fees, like you said, it's like we can't necessarily send product directly to Amazon the old way, because, like, for example, if I'm sending a full container, which means I'm a pretty big baller here, I can do a full container. I'm not some small seller. But that's actually a detriment, because I'm going to be forced to pay that inventory placement fee, since theoretically it's only going to one location. And then the way that Amazon provided, where if you don't want to have to pay, start using AWD, start using AGL and different things. But now AWD is like at capacity. And so throughout this whole year, people have been I feel like in this flux, like, what am I going to do with these inventory placement fees? Should I stop using 3PL? Should I start using 3PL? Should I start using AWD? So 9 months you've been in this. What have you found? What learnings can you share?
Well, I think both Afolabi and myself, we looked at this as Amazon never does anything to help the seller. Now I'm going, they do, sure. But you know what I mean? So if all of a sudden, there's an attractive package out there, why is it? And then how is that going to change? And so we've always, we saw a lot of this, like in our WhatsApp group, we'll have people talking about AWD all the time and how positive it is. Well, now start looking at what just happened. Now, there is, I was just talking to John Durkitz about this, and there's a positive that's going on right now that you could say is outweighs the negative, and that is that they're allowing now oversized and consumables into AWD, which they never did before.
I remember that.
Yeah, so that could, offset this. But for me, I don't know. I'd rather have a 3PL with a good inventory system in place, like a fulfillment system that you can work back and forth. Smaller pieces into Amazon, and you work back and forth closer with your 3PL. The 3PL is going to be way less expensive, depending on the 3PL, but doing it this way is way less expensive. And especially if you're doing the system, that life cycle, if you're sending things over to Amazon Direct, you're probably going to pay a lot more than going over to a 3PL and just piecing it off the way that I was just talking about it. And by the way, I should mention something here. I know that you know about this, but HTS codes. So Afolabi and I came out with something called this Tariff Terminator, which is very different than what it was last year. Out of everybody that we've looked at, 70, it was up to 80, but it's 70% of Amazon sellers do not have the proper HTS code. They let their Chinese seller set an HS code, and it's wrong. So when they get in here, and guess what? Nobody is calculating that as a part of your cost of goods. So they're going out, they're sourcing in China, they're not calculating, and this could be as high as 400%. Now I've never seen it that, but it can be. So, you're 25, 40% of your cost of goods. Is that not something that should be calculated? And like for me, I was doing natural soaps and I was paying 17%. So we were taking a look at it, and Afolabi says, can you consider this Castile soap? And I said, yeah, it's olive based. And he goes, well, how about I give you some good news? Pay zero. I just stuffed 17% back in my pocket. So, So out of the 70% of people that are missing the boat, they don't have the proper tariff code. And the average person that gets the proper tariff code on an order, the average that we've been able to calculate has been $7,800. And the other thing is that these can change on a dime.
Well, how would I know though? How would I know if I'm?
Well, you can go to a board.
How would I know better than my? Somebody might be reasoning my shipper.
Well, yeah,
my factory should know. But so how can I be smarter than them?
Well, there's a few ways of doing this. So one of the ways is just talking to your broker and making sure if it is the correct, if they can do a checking on it. You can check it yourself, but I don't want this to be a pitch at all. But Afolabi has come up with an app that will tell you, and it's free. So you can go and you can use it. Where's the catch is that if you wanted the code, that's where we would make our money. We would give you the code, but it would cost you. And then you go and you can save it. And sometimes your broker will come back and say, I'm not changing it. Well, why? They just want to, be pissy about it, because we found a better way. So that is a way. And plus, there is something that's like minor cost, like $1 or so. And that's for us to monitor it. So there's all sorts of different compliance issues, and the tariffs can change on a moment's notice, and you wouldn't know this. So if we're monitoring it for you, and I'm literally saying it's like $1, you would get notification that, hey, your classification just went up, or it changed, or compliance just changed, and you'd have that notice. So we monitor about 10 different areas. So it just protects you. And again, this is something that's always got to me because people never calculate. Know your number. Yeah, know your numbers. Know your tariffs.
Yeah, people. I'm probably guilty of that. I just assume that everybody's picking the right ones, but who knows? Maybe I got my coffin shelves or something else in the wrong tariff. It's worth looking at.
Okay. Just to give you an example, you talk about those coffin shelves. Well, we brought in during COVID, we brought in these quarantine signs. They were aluminum quarantine signs. And they were paying 40%. And I know on that shipment, it was about $15,000 that they were paying. Mm-hmm. Afolabi looked at it, and this is before we put this app together, but he got it down to under 7% because they were wrong. Like it was the wrong classification. And so it was an aluminum sign, and they had it under some quarantine thing. And anyways, it was changed, and they saved a ton of cash just by changing the tariff. So get your brokers to go out and take a look, or talk to us later.
All right, so there's a great way for people to start saving money. I mean, I think that's one of the themes of this year. I was talking about how to save on logistics and things like that because everybody's thinking about profitability. I mean, you should always be thinking about profitability, but with so many new fees and inflation and different things like that, I think just 2024 is the year of thinking more about it. But this might be a topic that not a lot of people are thinking about when they're trying to calculate where they can be more profitable. What else kind of unique things, tips and tricks you've got for people out there? You're the one who always has something unique to talk about that I would say 98% of the audience is not doing. What have you found that you think people are leaving money on the table?
I'm going to go back logistics once again. Okay. And this is something, there's other applications, there's other tools out there that can do this, but making sure that you rethink, relook, reconfigure your packaging. So making your packaging smaller, more condensed, putting it into box and repackaging that pallet. What we've noticed is that there's so much empty or wasted space on a lot of these packages that you're paying for air. And if you reconfigure that and reconfigure your container, so now you can put a lot more into it, you might be able to save 10, 20, 30%. So that's another big savings when you're talking about logistics.
Yeah, for sure.
Another area.
Did you know this? Helium 10 actually, I'm sure you know our alerts tool, which mainly people use for, hey, did my dimensions get changed, or is there a hijacker in my listing? Did my image change? But we have a new thing where it's an automatic thing that comes up at the top. If we detect that you are within like 1 inch on one side of changing a size tier, like we'll send you a notice. And it's kind of shocking. Like in one of my accounts, it was actually a different coffin shelf that I sell. It wasn't that Amazon changed it. I just didn't realize for a year I was on the border of a size tier, and it was literally the difference. If I change the package 1 inch, now not everybody, like if I've got a solid water bottle, like I can't just change this unless I change the water bottle by 1 inch. But coffin shelf, I've got some packaging in there. Sometimes you might be able to get an inch in there. By me, my next shipment that's going to come soon, it's going to be on this new box because of this alert. It's going from $11 per unit fulfillment to $7.50.
Whoa! So
that's like thousands of. If I'm selling, 1,000 units a year only. Hopefully, I'm selling more than 1,000. Like let's say 2,000-3,000 units. Times that by $3-4, guys. That's crazy. So what he said is very accurate. Sometimes we do not have optimized packages, and sometimes, it might not make too much of a difference, but still, your dimensional weight, when you ship it over here and how it fits in a container, all of that can save you money, but you might actually be on the borderline of a size, large standard size to oversized or something like that. And that's where the money is made, I think.
Yeah. It's just one of these things that you need to check. I guess everybody's talking about AI, but I'm loving AI. I'm really loving AI for what it can do, how it can help, creating like these add-ons for me, like ebooks, so easily, creating graphics for the ebooks and getting them published, putting checklists up. And so the reason I'm saying that is I want people to go over. I want to get an email address. They're going to come over. They're going to see the add-on. They're going to see a link to a how-to video on, assembling something. And it's just this extra value. You're giving them something, a bonus that they never expected. And all of a sudden they've got this great new ebook. But it could also be, something else, like the ebook could be described in audio, or it could be just something different that like for us, we were doing something with a non-alcoholic spirit, and we created a recipe book. I think the knife story that I talk about, once in a while, but for them, we created a 52-week meal plan, and every week, guess what they get? The brand in front of their face with the new, really good high-end meal plan. And how did we put it together? We went to chefs all around, and we provided the steak knives that we have, or the Damascus knives that we have. And in return, they got the knife set in return for recipes. And sometimes they gave us pictures, sometimes they gave us a video, but we got the recipe. We compiled that, put it into the weekly meal plan, and then we combined 2 recipe books. So now they get the recipe book, they get that, and there's so many things that you can do.
Is the recipe book tied to the actual knife set then? Like, so if I buy the knife set on Amazon, and then you have an insert card that says, hey, we can give you this free recipe book, is that kind of like what's going on?
We don't even say that, because what we're trying to do is surprise them. Where we get them is we're saying, hey, get a lifetime registration instead of the 30-day. Here's a lifetime warranty on it. And they click on it. And then when they get there, they see these videos, they see the food plan that they're going to get, and they see the recipe book. All we need is your email. And we get the double opt-in, and we've grown that just to thousands of people now getting that and really commenting. And now what's happening is we're getting a lot of user-generated content because they're putting together all the content based on their meal plan. It was really nice. But the ability to do that nowadays is so easy to use this. There's an app out there that I've been using called Pencilla. Nobody knows about it, but it's called Pencilla, like pencil with an A. It is a buddy of mine that put it together. All I need to do is point it, click, and I've got a month or two worth of content. Now, I'm not talking about crappy content. I'm talking about everything from the image is better than what you normally would be prompted. Everything about the social media is perfect. This is with high quality aesthetics, and it's literally, and you can check it out if you wanted to, Bradley. Just go to Pencilla. It's a free account. Go in, check it out, and you'll be blown away. So that's another thing. Cool. I used to spend a ton on AI, on social media managers. Most of them sucked. And now I've got something that's pretty damn good. And I could just talk to, Kelsey. I just, get Kelsey to post, and it does it automatically. It's so easy.
What is the difference between having or that a human is doing and what like human, task does it take over then?
When you're looking at a social media manager, there's three things that you look for. You're looking for copy, you're looking for creative, you're looking for engagement. You can get two of them, but I've never found anybody that could do all three. And with this, it gives you great copy. It gives you incredible images. It pulls them right from your site. Then it just makes them even better. And you can, let's say it was that non-alcoholic spirit. I could just have the product, pull in the product, and then tell it whatever background, put it into a party scene, a bar scene, have a bartender pouring a drink, and it just can do almost anything. So then on the engagement side, because you're being able to put it into your social media on a regular basis, probably more than regular, now you're getting a lot more quality, a lot of quality engagement going back and forth from your followers. Now, if there's anything that I might want to do is go out and find that person that could just engage. It might be an influencer. It might be somebody that could drive some traffic, but at least you've got those covered, and it costs nothing. Like I think it wasn't even $30 for a month. It's very inexpensive. But these type of things are coming out now when you're going like Pictory. Pictory is great for videos, text to video, audio to video. Sometimes, like if I'm doing something and it's just audio, I'll go to Pictory and just throw it in there, and then it'll come up with a video for me. If it's a video that I just want out on the net and I just, want it picking up some keywords and there's some audio out there. So these are some things that are fantastic that people are missing out on. Then you start looking at the whole email blast and newsletter thing. So, our buddy Kevin's come out with, a really great newsletter. And luckily, I've been able to sit down with a couple cigars and kind of, here, Kevin, give me a couple of tips. And he's been able to do that. And I think we have a pretty good newsletter. And what's happening with that newsletter now, if I was a brand, not a service provider, not a podcast, but if I was a brand, why are you not doing something like that where you can do this really good quality? Like my brand story is me. So I don't know if you've ever seen it, but with the Lunch with Norm newsletter, I talk about my personal stories. And then I turn those stories into business lessons. And then we have, the Amazon, Walmart, blah, 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 information from whatever comes up that week. Well, imagine that if you were a brand and you could, what's the name of the bees? Burt's Bees. Yeah. So if they came up and they had this incredible brand story, they have great brand awareness. And most of the time in their images, they don't even have to put any type of text because it's just the visual that's so good. But if you could do something like that and stick to your brand story, stick to the consistency, and come out with a newsletter, and you're talking about other things, about natural products, about just other things in general, benefits, features about your product. You might even have an area for your influencers to talk, a little bit about, or even promote. Well, now you're starting to build a community. And that's the area, like years ago when these aggregators were looking at Amazon stores. It didn't matter if you were retail or if you were on other platforms. They only cared if you were on Amazon. It didn't matter. You weren't going to get any extra zeros on the end. It was just they were looking for Amazon. And then back in, I guess it was 21, when the aggregator explosion happened. And then all of a sudden, hey, if you had a Walmart store or if you were into retail, if you went omni-channel, now you're going to get more. Well, that all really depends on this next chapter, is your community. So we've been spending a lot of time building our community. And like for us, you've got Kevin and I have the Marketing Misfits podcast. We've got the Lunch with Norm podcast. We've got 3 different other types of ways to communicate with us through the newsletter, the WhatsApp group, the Facebook group. And now the community has just started to really skyrocket, which is great. And the loyalty is incredible. Our WhatsApp group runs itself. I don't even have to be on it. The podcast, all the questions that come in, the questions go into the WhatsApp group. The WhatsApp group answers itself. The newsletter, man, we're not as big as Kevin's list. We have about 6,000 people on our newsletter. Our newsletter, every time, I don't think we've gone below 50% open rate, which really means nothing, but 50 to 60%. Our highest has been 70 something, but typically it's around the 50 plus range. And our click-through rate is anywhere from 7 up. So it could be 7 to 10%, which the average click-through rate is between the 2 and 4% on a newsletter. And that's the community driving all of this. And so my brand is my personal brand, which is the bloody beard. I mean, if I shave it, there goes my brand. My wife hates it and I got to keep it on. But that's something that I think a lot of brands are missing out on, is the ability to create a really loyal, engaged community.
Speaking about branding and stuff, last year you talked about doing a lot of live selling on Amazon and being an Amazon influencer. You did that for a while. Like, well, what was your takeaways from there? Like, where did you generate the most revenue? Was it doing the lives, or were you also doing, like video reviews that would go in the, carousels on product videos? Because I think that's actually having a resurgence now where people are trying to get extra money. And I think it's a great way for people to get some extra money out there, is becoming an Amazon influencer. So what can you tell us about your journey there?
Yeah, it's a grind. So if you could do this full time, or even, 4 hours a day, it's a great way to make some money. I think our best month, we weren't making, 5 figures, but we were making, I think our best month was about $3,500, which, doing it part-time just to see if you could do it, wasn't too bad. And I never got to really execute the way I wanted to. Like, we had a whole system in place on how to get these done. And it wasn't even going to be by me. So this is some of the secret sauce. I was going to be shipping out a lot of the product to Mexico. I was having my hands, like the background behind me. So all you would see is my hands. And then I was going to insert the beard, once in a while, with the same background, and me doing the voiceover. So it was costing me next to nothing to do the video production. And I had the studio all set up. But the first time we shipped down a bunch of products, it got lost. So then it just kind of turned me off doing that. But everything was automated. So if you have the time to think about it and work with automation and go out and spend the money on Fiverr or on whoever to do the automation, or use Make or use Zapier, any of those. If you're not good with it, hire somebody that is. So we would go out, we would get an Amazon listing. That Amazon listing, so as soon as the person said they wanted a video done, it went up. The Amazon listing went into a copy summarizer. We went in, we scanned the listing, it summarized it. We had it where, okay, here are the 20 questions I want to ask if I was going to be doing a video interview on it. We would take that, it would automate it, go over and do a TikTok script. We wanted 3 15 to 30 second TikTok scripts, and it just went all the way down. YouTube was there. And then I just sit here, change the background a little bit, and start rolling. And Kelsey would put up the text. So I would have a teleprompter and I would just go. It was just work. But even today, like I just got I haven't done them in months. And last week I got a check, not a huge check. It was $190, I think, from Amazon, but I haven't done anything. It just keeps coming in. So if you want to get into this, it's not dead. A lot of people went away from it because Amazon changed their commission structure, especially for the lives. So that's one of the reasons why we just said, oh, forget it. If they don't want our time, to do this, then we'll go and we'll do something else. But if you want, and it's such, people don't understand this. And I'm not sure if this is still in place. It might have changed, but so many people do not have a video, not a single video on their listing. And I know in the past, people would send me product to do, and you go to the listing, they didn't have a video. So there's no way for me to do a video to get it onto their listing through the influencer program. You have to have at least one video. So there's so many ways.
You probably didn't know this, but as of, I know you didn't know this because we just launched it this week in the Helium 10 Chrome extension, which I'm sure you used. There's now a toggle. If for those of you out there, the million people who have the Chrome extension, that you can toggle it now to the influencer version. And so we're showing you like, hey, how many videos are in the top carousel? How many brand videos are there? How many influencer videos on there? How many are on the bottom carousel? We're actually trying to launch a whole bunch of stuff that will help influencers, just people who want to be influencers on their own and want to review products to make some money. But also it could be, a way for even Amazon sellers to generate some extra income or kind of see what's going on with the competition. Like maybe they're looking at a few niches and, maybe they want to get into a niche where there's not that many influencer videos out there because they know they've got a good community where as soon as they launch a product, they're going to be able to get, some UGC or some influencers to make videos, and then they'll have a competitive advantage over the, who else is showing in the search results. So
I didn't know.
So guys, anybody who has a Helium 10 Chrome extension, make sure to check that out.
That's great. And the other thing I can tell you is that at least when we got into the influence, and then both Kelsey and I both started doing it, and he did fantastic. Like I remember seeing on his TikTok channel, 200,000 views, 500,000 views. He was doing great. We even had a deals website set up where every day we would post new deals of the day, and we were trying to get groups to pick it up. If I was doing this, if this was the only thing I was doing, you could make some really good money doing this. But and I stress this, get to know, just like with Helium 10, you get Freedom Ticket and you learn Amazon because it's such a big beast. I highly recommend. I wanted to do a course on it, but just because there's so many different angles for the influencer side, understand it. Like, take bloody courses. If they're out there, go and learn. If you're not an expert in something, hire somebody to teach you. It's just. Yeah. It's very important.
Super important. Yeah. Sometimes people just like to jump into something, they don't even know what they're doing, and then they fail or they don't have much success, and then they give up. Well, no, if they would have done it right from day one, they probably would have had better success. So actually, by the time people are listening to this episode, we have a employee at Helium 10, a coworker of mine, who on the side in her spare time, I hope it's in her spare time, she's not taking Helium 10 hours to do it, but she's a big time influencer. She makes thousands of dollars a month on it. And I actually recorded a course with her for the Freedom Ticket program. See, you're plugging Freedom Ticket. You didn't even realize that this is actually a real thing, but it's going to go, I think it's going to go inside of Freedom Ticket or somewhere that anybody can get to, where she's teaching me some of those things about, the basics of how to record videos and how to edit them and how to, look for opportunity. But it's just amazing how, she was just showing me, like, she just goes around her house sometimes. Like, it's not like she goes and buys stuff to make a video for necessarily, unless she thinks it's a big opportunity. But, she just goes around her house and scans it, sees if it's on Amazon, and makes a video on it, and she can, get some commission. So cool things coming in Helium 10. Speaking of Helium 10 now, the tools that you do know about, something I've been asking people this year, for you and your team, what would you say is your favorite Helium 10 tool or function?
I go back to the basics, and it's your reverse ASIN. You know, I've being able to extract that information and just find out my competitive analysis is everything. And if you don't know your competitor, if you win, like if you get a bunt or a home run, you're just lucky. You have to know your competitor, what they're doing. Also, the review side, when you can extract the reviews and see what people are really saying and what their main pain points are or what the positives are, and then use it against them, like basically spin it to your favor. So those are either Scribbles, or because it's so easy. And I haven't used Scribbles in a while, but I used to. That was one of my favorites. But Cerebro I use all the time, and I really love that.
If there was something, I mean, it doesn't even have to be Amazon really. Maybe it's about TikTok Shop, or maybe it's about logistics or something. If there's something that you think, if I gave you keys to our Helium 10 product roadmap and you were the CTO for a day, what would you commission us to do that can make your life easier, or other Amazon sellers that we don't currently have?
You at least I don't think you have. But if you had a fulfillment system that would tie into not only Amazon, but into Walmart or into Shopify, that would be great. Like that whole logistics side that we just talked about. And there's other people that have that. But because you're kind of an all-in-one app and you're expanding out that way, I'd probably be looking at, that's something that's bloody important nowadays. Okay. And like you were talking about just on the configuration, that you're starting to go down that path. So that would be a logical step.
We do have inventory forecasting, but right now it only ties to the Amazon. But then, people who are selling on TikTok Shop or Shopify or Walmart, they might be selling the same SKU across. So that's a good one that definitely is on our roadmap to try and integrate that so that you know what's going on in which marketplace. Well, Norm, you never fail to drop some knowledge bombs when you come on here. That's why you've been invited back more times than almost anybody else. So I appreciate you coming on here and wish you the most of success. And next year, let's see if your wife has finally won versus your personal brand. But I highly doubt it. I don't think she's going to win that. I don't think she's going to win that battle. We'll see you with the even longer beard next year.
All right. Very good. Thanks for having me on.